Hey people, it's not Stoky. This is just a stream of consciousness video, so I'm just talking off whatever I'm thinking about. Now, I call this one The Cult of Science because that's what I want to talk about. Recently, I met an Italian, and she told me about the Catholic Church in Italy. And what she told me wasn't really surprising, but it was at the same time, because she talked about the mafia, and she also talked about the Catholic Church. And she said the Catholic Church is just as corrupt as the mafia in Italy. They're not really seen as moral authorities. And she also said that in Italy, the Catholic Church scandal is just as open as, well, more so than it is anywhere else. Like every other week, you hear a story about someone saying this Catholic Church priest molested this person or this person, and yet the Catholic Church is a very big thing. People will take their kids to communion, they'll keep taking their kids to church, regardless. And I'm like, so wow, this is like open. Everybody knows about it, and they'll keep taking their kids there. And what they're basically saying is, we really don't give two F's about the kids. We are just going to keep following this church, and putting them in because it's the thing to do. So, and that's basically a description of a cult where people keep harming their kids, even for no real reason anyway. And that's what brings me to what I was talking about vaccine. Now, a lot of people, you see a lot of the time when people come out with vaccine injuries, especially with the C. David, you'll see there was this one who had an outbreak of a horrible rash from the Pfizer one. And then they came out and said, well, I still encourage people to get it. And that's one of the things. A lot of these people, they get horribly sick and injured, and but they'll get sick. But then they'll recover, thankfully for some of them, for now. And then they'll say, we still encourage people to get it. It was worth it. Like bringing a zombie. And that's how some of the pro-vaxxer victims go. And it brings me to a person I worked with. Now, I was telling someone else, we were having this conversation about, I know people who've had vaccine injuries, and they're pretty horrible. It's nothing to laugh about. And this person who was listening in on the conversation, he chimed in, and he said, well, it's better than getting sick. I want you to pay attention to what he just said. So he didn't say, no, you're lying, or those people are lying. That's not true. You're exaggerating. He admitted, yeah, those vaccine injuries are real. I just don't care. I want people to keep getting vaccinated, even if they're getting injured, even if they're getting sick. And that's what your pro-vaxxer is. They're like a cult. If you get injured, so be it. The science is their God. It doesn't matter if there's any evidence that disproves the science of vaccines or any number of people who testify. They will keep going for it. In some cases, even when they're injured, they'll be just like, well, it was a price to pay. And that's why I often say these pro-vaxxers are straight up evil. They don't care about your kids. They don't care about people's safety. If people get hurt, so be it. That's how they feel. Anyway, peace.